The basic principle on which the modern UK constitution was founded is the rule of law. No one is above the law, and those who make the law are subject to it as anyone else. However, Dominic Cummings has been seen to have completely rewritten this concept, and apparently now we all abide by the notion, one rule for us, another rule for you. On the 23rd of March 2020, Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced immediate wide-ranging restrictions on freedom of movement in the UK in response to the global pandemic of Covid-19. He set out limited reasons upon which people could leave their homes. In response to these new measures, the Prime Minister's personal advisor decided to violate these simple terms to go and visit his wife and children in Durham. Cummings' action caused a nationwide uproar. How was it that Cummings was allowed to travel and be pardoned by Downing Street when normal citizens couldn't? After the PM had stated that he had acted responsibly, legally and with integrity, 45 Conservative MPs called for Cummings to resign immediately under the notion that he had violated the laws laid out by the government, and another 53 were similarly as critical. Backbencher MP Jeremy Hunt claimed that Cummings had violated the regulations on 3 occasions. It is obvious that Cummings' visit to Durham during the pandemic was extremely unwelcome to the general public. The rule of law, which exists as one of the 5 constitutional principles, cannot be so easily dismissed. But during the pandemic, the government has come under fire for violating not just this principle. In the end, the High Court overruled a legal bid to challenge a decision to not investigate Cummings' journey to Durham, and at a hearing it was said that Cummings had appeared to evade any genuine scrutiny for his actions due to government associations is undermining of respect for the rule of law.
The principle of parliamentary government may be seen most basically as a transaction. Government legitimately derives its authority from Parliament and in return operates through and is accountable to Parliament. As nearly a year on from the initial implementation of the Coronavirus Act of 2020, the grounds for the increased government powers are becoming more and more questionable. With the sidelining of Parliament and the increased use of delegated legislation, government powers are becoming the driving force behind action in the UK. The Coronavirus Act was brought in as temporary emergency legislation on the grounds that extraordinary times require extraordinary action. However, it is the act of legitimising legislation by what is essentially a personal mandate that undermines a robust system of parliamentary government. And bypassing this necessary stage of quality control, as well as the lack of transparency in relation to the decision-making process of government, has led to what can only be seen as an infringement upon the democratic process. And though there is little argument against the fact that it is the democratic process which serves the people, and if bureaucracy is causing extensive harm to public welfare, lives must be put first, it must still be questioned that if government did not wish to subject itself to high levels of scrutiny, should it have not instead built upon more robust legislation, such as the Civil Contingencies Act, to better operate in a more legitimate way.
Throughout the pandemic, there has been multiple breaches of human rights. The first of these, most obviously, the freedom of movement. Article 13 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states, "Everyone has the right to freedom of movement and residence within the borders of each state. In addition to everyone has the right to leave any country, including his own, and to not return to his country." Obviously, due to pandemic, this has not been the case, and you cannot travel freely through the world, and in some cases even through your own country. Another human right that has been disrupted is the right to education. Article 2, Protocol 1 of the Human Rights Act, meaning the right to an effective education within the UK's existing educational institutions. School closures in response to the Covid-19 and the resulting move to online delivery of education has disrupted the right to education. In addition to the fact that the exam cancellations and botched algorithm meant that the university offers were turned down through no fault of the pupil. Another human right that's been violated is the right to respect of family and private life. Article 8 of the Human Rights Act. This includes in participating in the community, relationship with others, and remain in contact with family. Restrictions on being able to see other people, particularly restrictions to visits to hospital and care homes, have impacted people greatly, as it limits our ability to maintain relationships with our loved ones. Another human right that's been affected is the right to free assembly, Article 11 of the Human Rights Act. This covers the ability to gather in public spaces. This covers the issue related to people's ability to meet with others and includes participating in protests. There's been a lot of discussion about whether various lockdown regulations have ended up restricting the right to protest, particularly considering the Black Lives Matter movement. Another human rights breach is the right to be free from torture and inhumane or degrading treatment, Article 3 of the Human Rights Act. This protects against very serious abuse and neglect. The Covid-19 pandemic has seen people being released from hospitals without the support they need as a result of the changes in the NHS continuum of healthcare. People have also faced isolation and lack of support, where visits have been limited or banned, in addition to those people that have been trapped in abusive households. All these situations infringe on the right to be free from torture and inhumane or degrading treatment. The apparent justification of these human rights violations is the right to life, Article 2 of the Human Rights Act. This includes the duty on the government to take proactive steps to protect life when making decisions about public health. The government and public bodies must be thinking about protecting the right to life, so the steps that the governments have taken have been to protect the lives of the general population. This suggests a major hierarchy in the human rights.